Ben Scrivens, fresh off his 60 save performance.
Remember that like yesterday. It was the only one of his only good performances.
At that game. And
Nice.
Brzgalov
Rizzy.
and Scrivens.
Was it 60 or 65?
Oh, Dubnyk too. They played 20. Oh no, fuck me. Yeah, 32 Dubnyk played, 21 Scrivens played, and 20 Brzgalov played. Boom. That was right before we traded Scriv for Cassian. Cassian had just crashed his car into the tree with all the strippers.
Jeez, Facts. It's been that long. Wow.
Facts.
That's a time to look back on. Yeah.
All right, sharpen your skates for this one. Puck's in deep.
What was a time to look back on, Josh? The 60
crash in his car. I'm sure that's a happy memory he likes to think about.
Oh, I think he meant the strippers in the car that he crashed with.
Montreal, hell of a place to do it.
It's a few ballets.
Game on, fellas.
Game on, boys. Grab the nets. Sticks in the middle. We might even drop the flippers tonight. Let's get geared up for episode 55 of Straight Off the Pipe. As always, our proud member of the Heavy Hockey Network. And speaking of the Heavy Hockey Network, we've got 4 of the Heavy Hockey's heaviest hitters tonight. Not only in wit and knowledge, maybe an average weight, 2 boys. Right? Well, sorry about the shitty start to the podcast. I guess we were really just trying to mirror the Oilers' shitty starts recently. But speaking of episode 55, we are eager to get going. I know you saw what I did there. Who do we got here? I don't want to go to Dursa first. He just ruins my intros. I'm just going to save him till the end. So, hey, Kirk, look at him. Hey, Kirk Morris is here. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Good to be here, man.
It's great to be here. You've been more of a podcast contributor lately. We like to keep each other honest here on Heavy Hockey, and it's a good thing you're a legend in our group thread because there hasn't been a lot of writing coming out of those keyboards lately, buddy. You better pull up your socks.
I know. I blame work.
You blame work? Well, that's all right. We've all got that. And yeah, as well, we've got our boy from Tough Call, Josh. And hang on, boys, this number keeps calling me here. It's a 782 number too. Hello?
Dash, is Josh podcasting with you again?
Yeah.
He told me he was just running to the bathroom and then watching Steel Magnolias with me. Unbelievable.
Dude, how did Mrs. Tough Call get my number? Really?
Wow.
That's where we're going tonight? You're in the bathroom right now? You couldn't even tell your wife you're going to come on our podcast? Oh, everybody. Hey, Josh is on the show. Welcome.
Wow. Hey, Steel Magnolias is a great show. Please watch it so that it renews. Thank you.
And my co-host, as always, the unbelievable, the undeniable, the fall on the sleep guy, coach guy. He's mega thread guy. He wears a camo hat. We all love him. Mike Dursa. What'd you think of the game, buddy? Welcome to the show.
Well, I think the Oilers expected to win that before the game even started, and that's not the way you win playoff hockey games. I didn't really. I wasn't a fan of that one.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with you yet. Too close into this podcast. Yeah, right. They brought a regular season effort to a playoff game. My buddy in a group thread said they went to a shinny game expecting a shinny game to break out and ran into a playoff game. Like, what the fuck were they expecting? You can't bring that effort. We all knew LA was going to come out desperate. We all knew they were going to come out like a tornado, and we sat there and brought a regular season effort to the rink and thought that would be good enough. You know, I thought it might be difficult for them to generate any kind of feeling of, desperateness, if that's a word, disparity. Throw one at me if you want to help out there. But I thought that, after scoring 14 goals to 2 in the last 2 games, that it might be kind of hard to put their foot on their throats. What'd you think, Kirk?
I had a funny feeling it was going to be pretty even because considered what Todd McLellan's presser there after game 3 pretty much summed it up. So he was pretty pissed, and I think it kind of filtered down to the guys there in the room. So put 2 and 2 together, you knew they were come out swinging, and which they did.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. What's your feelings on that, Josh?
First of all, I was going to help you out with the word you were looking for is desperation, but since you posed me so well on that intro with
I didn't ask your wife to call, man. I didn't ask for that.
Wow.
Mrs. Tough Call's great, though. I just want to say she's
a swell lady. Honestly, I didn't even watch the game. I did later, but I told you my
You're not superstitious. You're just a little stitious.
A little stitious. It was 10:15 here on the East Coast, and I was already asleep. Sometime between 10:15 and 10:30, I woke up the next morning feeling very refreshed, ready to watch Game 5 late at night. But I don't know. I just slept through the game, threw it on in the morning, and after the first goal, I said, "Boy, this doesn't look very good." And I fast forwarded to the end. Usually I have a feeling like, they're in it. Things might happen. I'll only fast forward halfway or whatever. Usually I watch the whole game. But for some reason, this game, I just knew it's like not even worth my time. So sure enough, I was glad I did that. I don't know. I just had a sense.
Well, I'm glad I brought you in to be my tag team partner tonight. That's like bringing Wayne Gretzky on the panel, and Wayne just flops out oh shit, was I supposed to watch that first period? I don't know. What was I brought here for my opinion? I didn't do any homework. I was asleep. I was watching Steel Magnolias. I'm sorry, you guys.
Right? I mean,
happens to the best of us.
I have since watched it, but that evening I just had the vibe. Just wasn't there. Wasn't feeling it.
Good recovery. Yeah, it was not good. It was not a good start. The team that scored the first goal has won every game in this series. I think that says something. The 2 games that LA has scored first, they've gone up 2-0. We've shown all year that we don't do well in those situations. Pre-Woody, post-Woody, we're not great when we don't have a lead, and we have to take chances. And I think there were a lot of chances taken last night, as well as not a lot of effort given. I mean, the board battles were not there. The physicality kind of. Did anybody see Fogle or Cassian throw a hit last night that they remember?
Maybe one for Fogle, but Cassian was silent. Like he was nothing compared to the previous 2 games.
Yeah, I would agree. Durst, you want to jump in, or you just Mr. Editing there, or trying to figure out how to get us off of Facebook now that you incorrectly put us on there? The game you brought tonight. Wow.
You bring up the scoring first leads to the wins and all that noise. If this team is going to go anywhere outside of this, like winning a round, you're going to have to find a way to win games where you don't score first. So I'm getting, tired of hearing we didn't score first. Big deal. Get to work, get after it, score. We didn't really.
How's it not a big deal, dude? Whoever scores first wins. It's winning is what you're supposed to do. What do you mean it's not a big deal? Look at our record all year when we score first.
I mean, not getting up to start a game until the second period is probably not the right way to play. But
it's all year.
Do you go home? Do you go home after you get scored on first and shut her down? Like, come on. It's a man's game. You can't just lick your wounds and say, well, they scored first. Let's shut her down. That's it. We lost. Good night. Save it up for Game 5. Fuck that. Get to work. And we didn't. We didn't. How much dangerous opportunities, even on the power play, were there last night? Not really much. And I don't know what you want to chalk that up to. Like, did LA all of a sudden figure out how to penalty kill? Did we?
They were a lot more aggressive last night. Absolutely, they were pushing a lot more, and I thought their box expanded on the penalty kill. Yeah, they did. I think they did put a lot of pressure on.
Did we?
I think it was a bad sign right from the start. I don't know. Maybe I didn't need to watch as far as Josh did to see the first goal to know, but a minute and a half in the game when Smith kicks out that big rebound and Lizotte rings one straight off the pipe, that already showed us right there that they weren't in it. I thought that was a big sign. And then what was it? Cassian, McLeod, and Fogel's first shift. Did you guys see them go wholesale on that line change? Well, they just all hopped off the ice. They just completely deserted the defense. They got a really good scoring chance off of that. That just showed me their head wasn't in the game.
What kind of game are we talking about if Cassian scores on that breakaway?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it changes things, doesn't it?
It
What do you
does.
think, Kirk?
Yeah,
About all that.
well, they just didn't show like you'd seen there in game 2 and 3. They were throwing the body there, like everybody was being very physical, and last night everybody was silent. They just went to the game 1 tape there and did a replay pretty much, just not being hard on pucks, and not doing as much as they would, like that. And like Josh said, being desperate enough, that to really put the foot on the throat type of deal.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Josh?
Well, you guys talk about all year not being scored on. When we're scored on first, we lose all year. I know you said that phrase, but I look at this as 2 different seasons completely.
Yeah.
Because
but that's one thing that didn't change.
Well, you're right. It really does help when you score first. But I'm going to lean towards Dursa in the playoffs here. I'm a big believer in the in-depth stats. I love digging deep into the metrics and finding the trends and the patterns. They're good to support your arguments. They're good to support whether you're doing the right thing, whether you're focusing on the right things. But at the end of the day, I also am a kind of a believer in, for one game or 2 games, it doesn't matter. As a player, I'm not going to think about the fact that, oh, no, we got scored on first, so this is a different game. No, it's the same game. And why I fast forwarded the game is just because I realized they just didn't have the effort. I think there's a few times in the group chat where I said, I feel a comeback here tonight, guys. This still looks good. There's no desperation. Whatever. I feel good. And for whatever reason, there was just something about that game where I did not feel like it was going to be worth my while. There was just something about the way they were playing that whether they got scored on first or not, I don't think it would have mattered. And kind of a good thing is when we got scored on first, it was still only 2-0 till very deep in the game. You know what I mean? It's not like we got scored on first and then they just kept scoring. It was still a fairly low-scoring playoff game. It was still a reasonable one that we could have won, maybe if we'd have put a different effort in. So that's one positive. It's not like when we scored goals, we were scoring in waves. That didn't happen with LA, and I think that's about as well as they can play versus about as poorly as the Oilers could play. So in a very ideal situation for the Kings, it still was only basically a 2-0 game, in my opinion. And that's something that I take away from that and feel really good about, honestly.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, right? I think there's a certain element of truth that I can't deny. Ultimately, the post-Woody Oilers have shown an ability to react. They've shown an ability to counterpunch, right? Where maybe the Tippett Oilers would have caved, if you will. I think like there's an ability where Jay does seem to keep him in the game. And, you talked about those underlying statistics. And if you actually look at the last 3, even honestly, game 4, the last 4 Oilers second periods, we've not just played well in those second periods, we've dominated those second periods. Like out high danger scoring chance at least 2-1, out Corsi, out Fenwick 3-1. Like it's the relative Corsi and Fenwicks are in the 10s and 20s. It's literally dominating the second periods, which is not something I think we did see pre-Woodcroft. So yeah, I can agree with you there. There's actually, not Durst. Can I just get something off my chest, you guys? You probably know where this is going. Look, I've been up and down on this roller coaster with Keith all these playoffs. I don't think he's been terrible. Okay, he's brought some solid play to the back end. He's improved Bouchard's game. But God damn it, did we not bring him in here to do exactly what we just needed the Oilers to do? Did we not need the Oilers to find desperation? Thanks for using my words. I just can't, that's the guy that's supposed to teach this team how to put the foot on the throat. And what did he do? He shoots the puck off the fucking ref for the ref's head for the first goal, whiffs on it, does a spin-a-rama, and on the second one, he's caught in Narnia. He has no idea Lizotte is creeped by him, and he deflects the puck in his own net because he has no other choice. I don't care who talks right now. Somebody. Talk me off a ledge.
I'd like to get the advanced stats on Dash's use of Narnia per episode. Pretty good.
3 out of 55 at least.
One. The Narnias per 60 are flying out of this podcast. I love it. But
leading the campaign in Narnia's per 60. I haven't even talked about Middle Earth because that's where he was on the other play. Sorry, go ahead.
He's precious. That
he is.
That second goal, and I know we're going to talk about it in detail, other things he did, but if he'd have just been able, he had the puck on his forehand side, three quarters of the way out of the zone, and McDavid was on a breakaway. All he had to do was get it past one player, and it's McDavid gone, and he couldn't get the puck out of the zone. Whatever he did after that, we'll probably dissect more than I did a fetal pig in grade 10 biology. But if he'd have just got that puck out, we wouldn't even have to worry about it.
If he'd have just got the puck out on the first one. If you got to clear a puck, do you not find a lane to get the puck out? Or do you shoot at the cluster schmuck of players up against the boards hugging the ref so you hit the ref in the helmet? What do you do there? I don't know. Great frickin' intangibles, dunk.
I mean...
Jump in, Durst. I can see your drool dripping.
Well, the first thing is I'd rather him lose it along the boards because that gives you time to recover than losing it up the middle of the ice where it's game over right now.
On the second goal?
On the first one where he hits the ref. I'd rather see him hit the ref than hit a guy right in the middle coming right up against us. And it's convenient that you're leaving out. That happens, and then what happens? Puck comes.
I love Mike Smith.
Puck comes towards the net. Bush has a chance to clear as well, and he totally fans on it. And now you're in prime real estate. Right at the net.
We've all had a puck skip over our stick.
Sure.
We don't all hit the ref in the head trying on a clearing attempt when you've got another shooting lane to use. I feel like he was pissed off about the call prior. And he's like, hey, Hebert, I'm sending one at your head. And yes, the ref's name was Hebert.
To quote Happy,
that's why he was awful.
To quote Happy Gilmore, he shouldn't have been standing there.
He shouldn't have been standing there. Look, you talk about you've never hit a ref in the head. I've never hit a ref in the head. Look, he's not only willing to try it in a game, he's actually successful pulling it off. So I mean, give him some credit. It wouldn't have even occurred to me to try that.
And he didn't even get a 10.
Look, play that second goal, Durst.
We got
Dursa Meeker.
We got
start it right there.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the full screen here. You guys can still hear me?
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately.
Terrible. Here we go. All right.
This guy, the telestrator. Is that how he makes it up there?
Oh, there's our first goal. Yeah, there's 7 guys clustered in the corner, so let's just shoot it there. Oh, geez, the puck bounced out uncontrollably.
All right, let's go again here.
Oh, okay, second goal here. Yeah.
So here's the shoot in. So everybody's head's on a swivel. Keith goes to get it. How much time does he have? Where's his man? Well, we can't really see in the frame.
Well enough time.
So does he go this way? I don't know if that's a good idea. So he decides to go up the boards where he's got Yamamoto there. If he actually gets something on it, that might have played, but he played it off the ref's ass as we've highlighted pretty well. Leon has a chance to make a play here and doesn't. And then Bush is pretty casual there from Bush.
All right, play the second goal.
That's career minor leaguer Yamamoto there on the boards. You can't give it to him.
That is pretty casual there. You got to admit. And then Luddy-duddy fucking da. Okay, let's go to...
Okay, hurry up. This is bad audio.
Yeah, let's go to goal number 2 here.
Was that a cattle?
I was going to say, yeah, it's
okay. Well,
professional.
I thought that was one of the cats that Dursa has in his cat fighting ring in the basement.
We're in the 4-on-4 here.
It's just wearing bull horns. Look at, okay, yeah, Keith is up on top of the circle. That's where a defenseman should be. Yeah, in between the circle and the blue line.
Yes.
Can you stop hitting rewind? What are you doing?
Well, look at this. Watch this. Okay. What are we doing here?
I don't know.
He's shoulder checking for something. There's a play here, and that's pretty casual. Bush, the distance there, and everybody's watching the puck there. And I don't like that. So he takes man.
Yeah, follows him way too far.
We come up, and now there's...
Vacates his position.
Like, there's all kinds of fucky there.
Yeah, should have got the puck out to McDavid here. Failed to get the puck out again.
There we're okay. We're not in danger yet.
But
here's where it breaks down. So, do you want him to take this guy, or do you want him to pick up that guy? What do you want him to do? He's got to make a decision.
I want him to not be at the top of the circles. I want him to get back to the front of the net because he's a defenseman. Play it right there, please, Howie.
Okay. So he comes up. He takes man. He gets the puck.
Keep playing it.
He gets the puck. He got the puck there, so we stopped the play, and then he doesn't get it out. And that's
not so bad because he's got Bush behind him in the
at this point, right? Then the puck comes over here,
and
now this is where Bouchard chases too much.
We're okay right here.
Yes.
Yeah, right there. The triangle set right there. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's in position. McDavid tried to cheat. That's fine. He didn't get there. He's recovered.
That guy's not dangerous yet.
No. So Bouchard, because there's nobody else in the zone, chases his guy.
Now we got two guys really focused on here. And they both go.
Right?
They both go.
Oh, look at there. Yeah, pause it right there because that's the moment Keith's head wasn't on a swivel and had no fucking coup that Lizotte started to sneak in.
Right. There's a man right here, right where my finger is, right? He's kind of out of the frame. He's right about there. Now look at that separation there. He's got to recognize that. If he doesn't recognize that, then we run into problems. Because if Connor doesn't get back in that play, then he's right here and he's in. So that's what I think happens. Like he goes and then he sees. And we've got four guys paying attention really to one guy. Draisaitl's looking over here. I don't know what he's looking at, but these guys are all paying attention to him because of the separation there. And right here, I mean, I don't think he's dangerous yet, but as this goes on, he's right there. And Keith had already tipped it, but he's right there. I don't think if Keith...
There's a guy wide open in the crease in front of the net. One of those defensemen have to communicate to take him. If Bouchard goes and chases one-on-one, goes man-to-man chasing 19, then Keith has to recognize that Bouchard is not going to switch early with Draisaitl and that he's going to keep going, and then Keith has to come back and take Lizotte. You can't just stand there in the fucking middle and wait for the puck to hit your stick, thinking you're stopping a pass when you're doing nothing but putting it 5-hole on your own goalie. Yeah. That's good, Durr. Sit down because this is shitty audio. It's just good video. Like Rodman, I'll give you your basketball Bulls analogy since you love them so much. Okay, like
what do you got?
Rodman, while out of position, he tries to make a stretch pass out to Jordan, but he can't make the pass in time while he's out of position. His pass gets intercepted, so he resets the shot clock for the other team while Pippen and Jordan get back. They recover just fine. Who were cheating, but they get back into the zone, and because Rodman has absolutely no lack of awareness, or has a lack of awareness and no clue whatsoever that Isaiah Thomas has already slipped behind him, he has no choice but to goaltend. He's just got to goaltend. He can't block him, he can't stop, he can't intercept the pass because he was in a bad position, and he sucked at basketball for that play. Duncan Keith sucked at hockey for the first 5 minutes of this bloody game, and he's not the guy that needs to be making mistakes like that. He's going to be the guy that shelters Bouchard. He's got to be the guy that protects. He's got to be a guy in the dressing room that sends us out hungry. He got 10 minutes of ice time. Super intangibles.
I personally think, you're going to have mistakes in a playoff game. But if you don't force the other team to make any, they're going to win.
I was going to say puck luck probably has a little bit to do with both defense and offense from last night there too. Yeah. But when you don't pressure the team there and hit them at least.
If Keith turns his blade to the corner, that puck doesn't go in the net either.
True. Yeah.
And we're not talking about it.
Or just be in position in the first place. You got a lot of ifs and buts there, Durst, and if ifs and buts were coconuts, we'd all have pina coladas. He's
got to make a split-second decision. Is that player...
Because he's in a bad position!
No, it's because is that player dangerous or
He's
not?
in a good position in the first place. He doesn't have to make a split decision. He does the right thing, and he covers Lizotte.
Well, I think he can cover the back door if he figures that guy is contained, and he wasn't. We were too loose there, and it's a split-second decision.
It's his job to recognize that, man. I don't know.
You can
Let's go around the horn.
You can solely fault Keith for that, but I think Connor gave that guy too much room.
They'd recovered. Connor and I were back in position. They had the box back set. At that point in time, it's set.
After watching this, you have the hindsight to know that. You don't in the moment.
Well, they better. They're National Hockey League players. What do you mean Connor and Dry don't have the insight? Who does have insight if Connor and Dry don't?
I'm saying Keith doesn't have the know-how. Like he's not.
Keith does not have the know-how. Right. There's your gift. Cut it.
He sees that space, so he doesn't know that Connor's going to recover. Do you gamble saying that he's probably going to? Well, maybe he'll really reevaluate that after watching the footage, but he doesn't know that in the moment.
So a lot of things Keith should reevaluate.
So do you take that gamble that Connor's going to recover and give that guy prime real estate there, or do you step in to try to shut that down and give up?
He didn't step in anywhere. He disappeared through the closet door.
He tapped the puck
off to Narnia.
He tapped the puck. He tapped the puck into his own net because he paid attention to that guy.
He's 40 and he had a nap. His lunch was too big. Right there, he had a nap. He fell asleep on his two skates. He had no clue what was going on.
Well, it's been great. Thanks for having us on, guys.
Hey, guys. All right. Thanks, Kirk and Josh. No, and honestly, you know what? This went around the Heavy Hockey group thread all day, and it was pretty spicy there. And I know you guys both have your opinions, too. Okay, so let's kind of maybe go around the horn a little bit here, because I know we also talked about whether this challenge was proper. So let's maybe transition to that. I thought the third goal was a good goal. I think that Nurse tripped the player into our goalie, and the puck ended up going in the net. If you shove or trip a player into your goalie and the puck ends up going in the net, that's a good goal. I don't think it was... I don't know. I'm going to go back to... I'll go to Kirk.
I don't agree, man.
I know, man.
I know there should have been... Well, originally there was a penalty going to Nurse for interference there on Buddy there, but now do you give guys a pass? They're going to Superman the puck into the net head first? Like, can you punch it into the net? Like, where's the line? Once again, the NHL does not draw the fucking line on goaltender interference. Like, you can go Red Rover on this thing all fucking day, and it just they stare at that bloody iPad there. Oh yeah, it's a good goal. Yeah, okay, you know. But at the end of the day, I wish the NHL would set it up so that this is a good goal, this is not a goaltender interference, and vice versa. But
there is no clear-cut definition of what is goalie interference.
No, and I wish there was.
I mean, there's a written rule, just it seems like nobody knows how to interpret it. But we don't bring a guy on this podcast named @ToughCallPod without bringing the breaking news on tough calls. So, buddy, the stage is all yours. I am extremely interested in how you felt this all broke down.
Well,
@ToughCallPod on Twitter.
Thank you. Appreciate it. First of all, the overall sentiment on goaltender interference is that it's an absolute joke. Even the way it's written, it just says if you impede the goalie from his ability to make the save. Well, what the hell does that mean? Like, and I don't like when the announcers say, well, he probably wouldn't have got that anyway. Because have they seen some of the saves? You can never count these goalies out. They leap over, they make ridiculous saves. You can't make a judgment call and say, well, the interference didn't matter because he didn't have a shot at the puck anyway. They always have a shot at the puck. You got to give them that chance. But the player should be allowed to make a play on the puck. The puck only. I like how you're not allowed to push the pad at the net, but as we saw just the last night, you are allowed to push the puck at the net because that happened in the game, and it was called a good goal, and it was allowed to stand. DeBrusque, I think's goal. So in general, goaltender interference is a crapshoot. There's no logic to it. I wish they would just call it interference and not have such special rules for goalies, because really every player has the right to do their job in terms of what they need to do to make a hockey play. Just that players have a different job than a goaltender. And I think they overcomplicate it by saying goaltender interference and allowing goals to be taken away without calling penalties. All that incidental contact, if it's incidental, it should be allowed to stand. If it actually interfered with them, then it should be a penalty, in my opinion. That, I think, would clear a lot of things up. Also, the reviews take a ridiculous amount of time.
Yeah.
It's already, in opinion, a judgment call, and that's what you pay your officials for. So if some guy in a booth hasn't seen anything by the end of 2 minutes, what's he even looking for? If you haven't seen it by then, we're expecting the referee to make a call in 1 second live with one look, and sometimes not a good look. So I get that the idea you are allowed to challenge, but for the spirit of the rule, what are you looking for that you can't determine in 2 minutes or less? So with all that said, if you look at the goal that was scored, you have a player who's going to the net. He's taken down clearly. There was a penalty going to be even called. That's how obvious it was that he was taken down. So it's not his fault he ran into the goalie. So really, it's only a question of did he propel the puck in with his hand or whatever. And how many looks do you need to figure out whether he did it or not? And what kind of team do you have on the bench looking at that iPad and going, yes, challenge that? Now, I see why they did it, because the NHL is so ridiculous with their challenges that, honestly, I know the announcer said it's a 50-50 call or whatever, but that's because every call is a 50-50. You can't really look at anything and say that's definitive. You're just going to say it's 50-50 because you can't be wrong if you say it's 50-50. If you have a team looking at that, I just don't know how you can look at that and say reasonably that you think it's going to be overturned. I think maybe the only reason you do it is because your team's playing like garbage and you're trying to give them a little bit of a lift. And if it doesn't go your way, really, who cares at that point? Maybe. I don't know.
Darius, what's your reaction to that statement then?
Well, two things. I think that was done to protect Mike Smith. And the other thing I think about it,
the challenge, you mean?
Yeah. And the other thing I think about it is I don't fully accept he was taken down. Yeah, Nurse definitely tripped him. I'm not arguing.
Leg scissored him.
I'm not arguing that, and there was almost like a figure four leg lock or whatever, but afterwards there was a little bit of shenanigans on Nurse's part. I'm not arguing that.
There's a whole lot of wrestling moves we can get to talk about.
It was a great night for UFC holds.
Guillotine's on special.
the thing I question is, okay, because that was the story they gave us when Kessler held Talbot's pad. Is that
it's a different story,
man. No, it isn't, because the song that we were sold then was that Nurse cross-checked him into the net. And that's why they let that goal go, is because Nurse initiated
grabbed his pad with his hand.
I know. And how long after the cross-check was it that he did that?
Yeah.
Last night was
that didn't happen last night.
I know. Well, it is, but it isn't. They're using the same story.
But your ifs and buts.
No,
seriously,
it's
dude.
no, man.
Playoffs aren't won on ifs and buts. They're not won on pride either. You don't fucking challenge a call at a pride.
The story
don't put pucks in the net.
The story they gave us why that goal standed against Anaheim was because Nurse cross-checked him into the net.
I don't give a shit about Kessler and Anaheim. These are two different stories.
But it's the same fucking problem. There is no clear definition of goalie interference.
Oh, that we can agree on.
Yeah,
4 years to get over that goal. Now you're bringing up all those old wounds.
And what happened? And what happened last night? Nurse takes him down. He hauls him down, and he's sliding towards the net. Did he make? Did he make an attempt to even recover? Or did he bury his head and try to put everything in the net, the puck, himself, and everything?
I think he buried his head and tried to not get his neck broke on the post.
Yeah.
It's the same argument as he turned his back on hits. The hitter still has to go in safely. Just because he turned his back doesn't mean you can drive him with your elbow and be like let off the hook.
This kind of sounds.
Here's the real question.
This kind of sounds like you're seeing it my way.
Well, in a way, I am.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had time to recover in this instance. That's all.
I would have liked to have seen an attempt, not just bury the head and go like bracing yourself for that collision. To me, that's a little bit of a you're a pro athlete. That's a little bit of a planned.
It's a fast game, man.
It
You're a pro
is.
athlete on
It
skates.
is,
He's not a
but-
luge. He's not a pro loser.
It is, but
Every
to me
time
that's a
something
little bit of
bad
a
happens.
planned attack.
When a player does something bad, we always use the excuse, well, the game happened so fast he didn't have time to react. And then when something doesn't go quite as bad, they say, well, if he really wanted to hit him, he would have. Why in one
Josh.
case do they have such control,
Yeah.
and in the other case, they have no chance?
Right. Whatever.
There's always so many excuses made
That's
for
true.
allowing crap to happen.
whatever works for your argument that you want to
Right.
present.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, let's move on. I thought the wrestling moves were cool. I thought the RKO out of nowhere on Nuge or the DDT or whatever. Honestly, I'm excited to hear what at Tough Call Pod on Twitter has to say about this one too. Because honestly, that's a dangerous play, man. If Nuge's helmet comes off somewhere in there and he goes forehead to the ice, this is a different conversation. Good on Nuge for going full raging bull Nuge there. I don't know if I've ever seen him that red in the face. Maybe the Monahan fight, but I'm not sure. So good there. And I also really enjoyed Cody Cece's judo flip as he got reincarnated as Ronda Rousey there. That was impressive. Josh, I got to come back to you. You're a Tough Call Pod, bro.
Ronda Rousey, jeez. It's funny you bring up the Monahan fight, because the one thing that always bothers me in general, and I put out a video about this, asking referees to actually contact me and tell me why they do this. Why don't they always, there's something happens, someone will give someone a shot, and then they won't have their arm up, nothing's going to be called, and then someone else comes in a shot, so they take them both. But
Why don't you call him the first one?
If you called the guy who hit me, I wouldn't have hit him back. So if that was a penalty, what about my punch turned that original punch into a penalty? So when you bring up the Monahan fight, they're jostling by the bench, and Monahan cross-checks Nugent Hopkins in the face. And then they just go. And it's like, of course, I'd go with the guy, too, if he did that to me. 0 career fights.
Yeah, you don't cross the line with Nuge. Right? We're finding this out.
Like, you don't do that, and don't call the cross. If I see that cross check being called, I'm like, oh, good, this guy's gone. I'm walking away. Now I got to fight. You might fight anyway, just because sometimes it's worth it. But in this case, in a playoff game, if someone takes you down in the DDT and you look up and you don't see the ref's arm up, of course you're going to go back at him. Now, again, you might go back at him anyway, especially in the circumstance you're down. It might be worth it to take the penalty. But that wasn't being called until the retaliation, and that's what drives me crazy, because players can't make informed decisions. Why is it that you have to protect yourself, and then they call the first one anyway, when really I would walk away from a lot more stuff. It would solve all these stupid scrums. The Kings got away with murder there in game 3, and they weren't quite as bad in game 4, I don't find, but it really did set the tone for the next couple of games. What are you going to get from officiating? Are they going to come at me and be allowed to punch me in the face and rip my helmet off and things without being punished? So if someone grabs me in a headlock, who knows what's coming next? So you treat it differently if you know they're allowed to take those liberties, and I think that's what's happening. I think the officiating played into LA's hands in game 3, and I think they're taking advantage of it in game 4.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that really in that context before, where, if your arm wasn't up, ref, well, why is that a penalty now? Right? I get that for sure. So Kirk, what did you think? What was your opinion on, the promotion from Dana White and Vince McMahon last night?
Like, I go back to what an old interview with Ray Ferraro there on Overdrive here in Toronto.
The little ball of hate.
Yeah, and he said paint it black and white. He said the ref should call it the same all the way through, regular season and postseason. None of this let it go bullshit, and that's where the game management really ticks me off. It's like we're trying to force somebody to win, and it just favors somebody, and favoritism comes in, and I don't know. I have such mixed feelings on this shit, because one night it's an awesome hockey game, and then the next night it's 20 penalties, and it's just there's no consistency.
And the ref's name was Hebert.
Yeah. Yeah, go figure. but
It's just,
but yeah, I don't know. It's people like Josh I lead to. It's like, well, what the hell? You know, it just like
Yeah, me too.
it doesn't make any sense. Like it just one more thing to add to the list of that the NHL needs to fix.
yeah,
Call
I
it
lean to
the
Josh
same
on
day
things
one.
like this too, and unfortunately, when I ask Josh questions in our group, that Dursa answers them. So in lieu of that, Dursa, why don't you pipe in on this without giving us a Hulk Hogan or Randy Macho Man Savage impression?
Ooh.
It's going to be tough.
Oh, I stumped him. He was coming with one, wasn't he, boys?
What you going to do when the standard of officiating changes from game to game on you? That's the part that...
I told you he was coming with one.
That's the part.
I know.
That's the part that honestly bothers me. Is from night to night, it's a different, it's a different set of officials on the ice, and it's a different standard of officiating. And how the fuck, honestly, I gotta drop a swear here, but how the fuck does Barry get cross-checked in the neck by Lemieux, no call, and then deep in the third, they call the tackiest bullshit interference call on the guy? Like, what?
Especially Lemieux, right? Like, if you're ever gonna...
I think that's the thing that's bothered me the most about this series so far is you can cross-check a guy in the neck, but don't you dare interfere. And how about that interference call last night on Connor when Kane had the puck behind the net?
Yeah.
Holy fuck, was that a phantom call?
If we're talking about disgusting things with Barry, we need to talk about that move at the blue line when he got burnt.
Oh, I just cringed there. And then he had a breakaway. I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, do you think we missed Derek Ryan last night?
Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah.
Kirk? Yeah, go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah.
I thought we missed him on the face-offs. I don't know. Like, he doesn't play a lot, but we missed something last night.
He's that nice second option on the face-offs, and just even like him forechecking. Like he's like a mini Jesse almost in some instances. Just he like what he said. He goes to the right places and he never quits. He's like the third line Hyman sometimes with his checking, and just cringeworthy there with Archibald and with Rissard last night.
We haven't got on to Archibald yet. Don't go there.
Yeah,
I'll save that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Josh. What do you think, buddy? Did we miss Derek last night?
I think we do. He's a guy who's so excited to have the opportunity he has, and you can't. Good point. Yeah, that's a motivation tool in itself. He wants to do everything he can to keep that spot, and I think his effort and his attitude is. I'm not on the bench with these guys, but it seems like the kind of player that I would want to have around, sitting on the bench just to kind of chat with and have in my corner. I think we missed him a lot, honestly.
Josh wants to be personal friends with Derek Ryan if he's listening.
I do.
Durst, what do you think, buddy?
Definitely missed in the face-off dot, and he makes plays. He's a heady player, and he makes smart plays, and I just didn't think we got that from Derek Brassard last night.
I thought the face-offs that everybody brings up was really the key indicator, because Brassard went 0 for 2 in the dot, and Draisaitl had one of his worst nights. So I think that's when you really miss Ryan even more, right? Speaking of Leon, he wasn't his best game, I don't think. I almost think he looks a little bit hurt or banged up again. He looks a little hesitant to take that one-timer. He's not, strong on his stick on the face-offs. I'm going to just rattle on a little bit here because it's a topic and a trend, but I also thought Doc looked a little off last night. He doesn't usually get beat wide like that, you guys, right? Like the whole point that the reincarnation of Glenn Anderson actually even got to the net there is dumbfounding, because I think he's having a hard time cutting to that side. Smith barely got up the one time. He stayed down on one knee there, right, boys? 37 and 44. I didn't see those guys rattled in a lot of glass last night. So my question is this. I'm just going to keep going around the horn in the same order. Kirk, do you think it was effort, or do you think we're starting to feel the bug? I don't even want to say the word really, but
I think Doc is still nicked up there from that injury there from the regular season, and I think Leo is a little bit. I don't know. It's a tough call because on the one play there I can remember he back checked like crazy, like he skated like the wind to prevent potential goal, and then just stopped playing. Like I can't explain it.
You don't need your wrist to skate, though.
It's true.
Josh?
Like I said, overall, there was just some sort of sense around the game that there just wasn't the energy to compete. It reminded me a little bit of last year's playoffs. You talk about a guy like Draisaitl. I know they tried hard. I know I'm not questioning their effort. I'm not questioning their desire to win. But there were little moments all throughout the playoffs last year where they just didn't come through. They just never, ever stepped up. And this year has been completely different from the start of the playoffs. I look at this like it happens to everybody. It's just one of those games. Sometimes things just don't go your way. And unfortunately, there were too many people in the same boat. I think we do have to give LA a little bit of credit. They took the wind out of our sails a little bit. Yep. And sometimes you just cut your losses mentally and you move on already. Like I'm not overly
they certainly did to us.
Right? Like I know Connor and Leon were used to, at the start of the year, we talked about how they sort of held off and picked their moments because they knew they were going to be on the ice for 3/4 of every game. So you can't always back check hard and you can't always do that. I think maybe this is just one game in a long journey, and they sensed where they are in the process, and it just happens sometimes.
Yeah, seems we get burnt when we cheat, right? And it's when they open up those 2-goal leads that we're forced to cheat because we can't. You know, I know what he says, stick to the plan and stick to the system, but that's easier said than done when you're out on the ice and you're trying to make things happen when you're Connor, right? So I think that it's a learning experience. If anything, in the playoffs, there's a reset button in between every game. But Durs, I'll let you peel back the layers of the onion a little bit too. Do you think that was more of an effort thing? What are you seeing? Do you think the boys are feeling the bug, or?
You know, you have 2 games where you take them to the woodshed, and you come into a game where you have the opportunity to put a stranglehold on the series and give yourself, 3 games to close it out. I think it's a mindset thing. I think, they haven't really been in this position as a unit ever. I mean, if you go back to the series against San Jose and Anaheim, they had to claw and scratch to get through that. So
19 or 06? 19, you mean?
19.
Or 17. 17.
Or 17,
yeah. So
gotcha. Sorry.
So I think here it's kind of they were in a new spot, and I don't know if they knew how to handle it, and obviously they didn't. And for LA, it was do or die, right? If they drop that game and they're down 3-1, they don't have a chance, really. Let's be honest. So LA had to win that game, and really we didn't. And I think we played that way. I don't think we gave it, like we backed away from what was working for us. In the previous games throughout the series, we set the tone physically. And last night I think not even counterpunching really. They just backed off. They backed off from what was really working.
Odd how they just abandoned the physical game. They were losing board battles. They were losing it. It was odd.
And the guys that, that's really what they can bring and what they should bring. And if they want to be around in the future, that's what they need to bring. Didn't bring it. And, I don't know if they were scared really, but they didn't play their game. And, we can highlight Keith's first period mistakes, but we didn't cause the Kings to make any. And you caused the other team to make mistakes by putting a lot of pressure on them, and we just didn't do that. We didn't do it.
These veterans get so much credit at LA. Oh, their season. They got 8 players that are in their first playoffs.
So they don't know
this
it.
Isn't,
they don't
this
know
isn't
any
the LA Kings that Trevor Moore grew up watching with
Right.
all the veterans of the past. Like it's a new team too, and they found a way to come out and find gusto and find desperation, right? Why can't we?
Their veterans are Brown, Kopitar, and Quick, and
Yeah.
those guys know what it takes, and maybe.
And ours are Duncan Keith.
Yeah.
I rest my case. If I had a mic, I'd drop it.
Yeah, well, the one thing I'll say is Keith's been pretty good all series, and
he's been okay.
He had a shit game, or a shit period, really. I think after the first 10, 12 minutes, we settled down and we weren't making the same mistakes, but we weren't causing the Kings to make any. So, they could just sit back and ride that 2-goal lead until they got the third goal. We challenged the goal. We can debate whether it was a good idea or not, but I don't think it mattered. I don't think it mattered if we were down 2-0 or 3-0 at that point. We weren't putting enough pressure on them to score a goal. And
the more I think about it, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, you're trying to kill a 3-goal game, or you're trying to kill a 3-goal game shorthanded, or a 2-goal game.
You still got to score.
You still got to score, and they didn't score in 60 minutes, so that's why they lost the game.
Yeah. You got to add it up to puck luck, though, during that second period when they did push back, and Quick loses his glove.
Yeah.
And
let's talk about that. Have you guys seen anything like that? We watch a lot of hockey in this house. My wife watches more hockey than I watch, and I'm not even kidding. We don't miss games. And I have screamed and yelled at my TV like you have not fucking believed over these years. And last night was the first time she was like, Mike, you need to settle down. And it was when Quick's glove was off. He's floppy, makes a glove save, an arm save, off the crossbar, comes back, rebound, blocker save. I give that guy all the credit and respect in the world, man. He stood in there. He risked a broken hand. He could have took a snapper off the end of the finger. And not only did he make the save, it was the momentum shifting moment of the game. That was Jonathan Quick. That was Jonathan Quick.
Vintage Jonathan Quick. When he goes full yard sale, he goes full yard sale. He doesn't care. He just wants to stop it. Oh yeah, and he did it again last night there, and it's those saves that just it frustrates the shit out of you as a fan, and you got to tip your hat to him. At least he showed up. Along with the rest of the team. And
exactly.
Kind of feeds off of it. He sees the boys ahead of him pushing, and he's like, I got to do my thing here, and he definitely did it last night.
Yeah, I wanna, all the analogies of war are right there in hockey, but that's a guy I want to take a bullet for and go in the trenches with, right, Josh?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's going to be either just a moment in the series, or it's going to be the moment of the series.
Moment in the series. Jesus, well said, brother. Well said.
Because it's a 7-game series, and if you look at it from our point of view,
well
3
said.
of the 4 games we've played pretty well. We could have won game 1. We learned some lessons there. Games 2 and 3 were domination. So 1 game so far, and we're sitting pretty, and we have home ice advantage. But if Jonathan Quick finds a way to become that vintage Quick, like you said, that could cause a lot of problems for any team, and especially one maybe mentally not as prepared to handle adversity as the Oilers are right now. Perhaps I'm not saying they aren't, but
I think the boys are going to bounce back there tomorrow night, and I don't think they're going to dilly dally. I think they better show up, or it's all on them for the last.
Let's use that segue. Let's talk about the next game here a little bit, Kirk. I like that. Do you want to jump in on Quick before we do that, Durs? Anything that?
The save on Yamamoto, I think Yamamoto needs to bury that. But the save on Kane was the better one. That was
what a pass by Kane too.
That was quite the reactionary save.
Kane went pure beast mode that shift, did he not? He was just like, I'm making something happen, and Quick went nah.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say to Josh's point though, my dad always says to me, if you win the odd games in a series, you usually win the series. So we lost game 1, we won game 3, we win game 5. We're in a good spot.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, for sure. Okay, back to you, Kirk. I didn't want to give Durst an opportunity to not speak.
Oh, it's all good, man. Like I said, I think tomorrow the boys are. They always bounce back after a terrible effort. They're at least played for Woody, so it's got to be in the works. You'd think, anyways. At least create havoc. Hard on pucks and just give her. But wait and see.
Some of those owies, Josh was talking about with Nurse and Draisaitl, I think those can subside a little bit when you're at home. That noise and that environment, I think, can add some extra juice, adrenaline to your body, and all of a sudden you don't hurt anymore, and you become superhuman. So I think it's a good thing they're coming home for Game 5, and I expect them to be better. Nurse, it's not very often you see him kind of not only beat kind of to the outside, but wrestled to the ice. I mean, that's not something I don't think I remember seeing, where he loses a strength battle. And you talk about Glenn Anderson cutting to the net, and I've played a period with Glenn in a kind of a rec game. And
does he slash you even when you're on his line?
He would cut to the net like that, and then he'd go to the bench and tighten his skates.
Ultimately, boys, we went into LA and we got a split.
Yep.
Right. That we needed that. Yep. So we got what we needed. It might not have looked pretty on the back half of it, but we did our job. We went in the road. We got the split. We're still in control of this series. I think Josh touched on that, right? We have home ice advantage. There's 3 games left, but Josh, I'll let you to it as well here in a second. But boys, score first. Josh.
Yeah. Well, you are allowed to talk on your own podcast.
Nobody cares about my opinion.
This whole playoffs has been crazy, really. Yeah. I mean, our series is just kind of mirroring the series around the league, where they seem super tight, except for Colorado, of course. But
look at Tampa and Toronto, right? Like, you get a different flavor of soup every time you turn into that hockey series, and it's the same with ours, right? Like, these are 4 different hockey games, 4 very different hockey games.
It's not just like, some teams win here and there and it's tight. We're talking like one team gets blown out of the water, and the next day it's the other way. It's crazy.
4-goal gaps, 5-goal gaps. Yeah.
I mean,
how about that? I was just going to add, sorry for cutting you off there, Josh.
Yeah, no, jump in.
How about that Rangers Penn series?
It might be the best series going, to be honest.
You lose your backup, and you got your third stringer Deming there holding the fort, and the Rangers can't.
Louis Deming is forever now known as Dubbing.
Dubbing, yeah. and
bone.
Well, and the Rangers are like skating in concrete. Like they can't get moved. It's just the opposite, man. Like, it's like, what the hell? And Sturkin there is seeing, BBs there. He can't stop a puck to save his life,
After the season he had, hey?
He gets yanked 2 games in a row. It's nuts. Actually, they put up a cool graphic.
Right? Who saw that coming? Hey, Louis. Yeah, who wrote that script? Louis Deming holds the Penguins in while Shesterkin gets pulled again. What?
Checking.
There was a pretty cool graphic
the playoffs are fun.
Pittsburgh Penguins series results against probable Vezina winners over the last 40 years, and they've won every series. I think it's 7 times they faced the Vezina.
Is that right, eh?
It's either the first or the second round all the time, but they seem to just do well against regular season goaltending. Forget it.
Except for the time they had Fleury, then they were rocking the Vezina the whole time, right? So those ones didn't count. But all right, we got off track a little bit, and that's okay because it's fun. But what do you think about this game coming up here, Mr. @ToughCall Pod on Twitter?
Well, I don't think it's a very tough call. I think the Oilers are going to take over again. I really do. And it's not because I don't think the Kings could beat them. I think the Kings have put all their chips on the table and played relatively consistently game to game. I don't think it's on them to make a difference. I think they're kind of more, honestly, a little bit robotic. They play the same way very well all the time, but they're beatable at their best. So if our team, they had a one-off, I assume, and they're going to come back and play their game. And I think their game, I think the Oilers game, the way they play is suitable to defeat the Kings if it's played properly. I think it's designed to beat a lot of teams actually that are better than the Kings. So I don't see it being a problem if the Oilers just continue to focus on what they've been doing well, and I don't think the Kings have an answer for it.
Yeah, stick to the game plan. I would agree, and I think that game plan at home works out a lot better for us. And boys, I think we're for the first time tonight all going to agree on something. I think they come back and have a response as well. So. I'm going to go around the horn for one last comment, and then I'm going to ask each one of you for a score as well. I know Hebert hates that, but he's not on our show right now, so screw him. Last words, Kirk, and what's the score tomorrow?
Like I said before, I think the boys are going to wake up. They're going to bring the thunder there they're going to have the juice from the crowd. I'm going to go 5-3 Oilers for the win.
I like it. At Tough Call Pod on Twitter.
I think it's going to be
Mrs. Tough Call if you want to take a minute.
Well, she's deep into Sweet Magnolias. I don't want to pull her away from the show.
I know we got to get you out of the bathroom here and not back on the couch. So
that's a good show. It has Cheyenne from the old Reba series on CFP.
Score, Josh. Score. Last words.
Right. Sorry, I forgot what this podcast was about. I think that it's going to be kind of a back and forth game, and we're going to pull away. I'd say it's going to be some strange score like 6-2, but like with 3 empty netters or something funny like that. Like it's just going to be one of those games that never seems to be over until the end.
Like that Toronto-Tampa last one.
Yeah.
Couple empty netters and one in between for Muzzin. All right, so 6-2, is that what we got you on?
I think 6-2, sure.
All right, book it. There's, I'm going to say, I think I'm more in the boat like Kirk. I think I like that 5 number. Maybe I'll go right in between you guys and say 5-2. I think it's maybe one of those games. Oilers score first and a couple more from Evander Kane since he likes to go beast mode. Boys, this is one of the funnest shows I think we've had. I apologize for bringing you on to referee Dursa and I. Sorry you had to listen to us yell at each other, but quite honestly, my whole intent was to bring you on because we might have needed witnesses. Pleasure. Thanks, Kirk. Thanks, Josh. I love you, boys. Dursa, the last word's all yours, my friend. My kind of friend.
This is our first show since I was sitting on your lap in the living room and at the game.
Don't remind me.
And that show took about three days to make. So this
says something about your editing, which is also why we're on the air how we were.
Yes.
I digress. Actually, I need to hit my mute button like Hebert does. Here we go. It's all yours, Durs.
This group wins as a team and loses as a team. And we've gotten, I think, since that gaff from Smith in game 1, pretty clutch goaltending from him. So I don't want to see that go to waste. 2 more games, close this out, and on to the next round. It starts tomorrow night, and the first 10 minutes of tomorrow, I think, will tell the story. I don't think this group is going to be overwhelmed by the crowd anymore. I think they'll start to use that to their advantage, and I see a goal in the first 5 minutes. I'm running with that, and you stole my score. I was thinking 5-2 too, with some empty net damage coming late. But
imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
I called this.
Your mic was muted.
I called this series.
I know. I couldn't do it anymore. I'm stuck.
I called this series.
I like the sound of my own voice.
I called this series in 5, and that kind of went out the window after game 1. But 2 blowouts, and then we drop a game basically because we weren't mentally ready for it. And I just don't think that happens anymore. This series, I think they're pros, and they've got that long flight back from LA to Edmonton to think about what they didn't do last night and what they should do tomorrow, and I think they just overwhelm the Kings tomorrow night, and it doesn't matter what kind of Jonathan Quick is in the net, we get it done. You guys got anything else, or are we all good?
No, you put your stick somewhere and you shoot for something.
All right.
Yeah, screw puck luck. That's what I say. Just hammer down.
That's right. Yeah, bring that physical edge again, you know, and take it to the Kings physically. And if you're up by 3 goals, go after Lemieux by all means.
Pucks deep.
You know, thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe to the Heavy Hockey Network. You can catch articles by Kirk, Dash, Josh,
Sometimes Kirk,
myself, Mr. Hebert, Eric Friesen, Spencer, Ryan Lotsberg, Lotsa, and hopefully someday Brett Lachansky will write another article. He's got one. But we love to chirp him in the group chat. That's what it's all about. And maybe we should have a Rip the Ref segment to get him back on and tee off on the guy, because that's fun. Thanks for watching, everybody. Keep your sticks on the ice. Keep reaching for the stars. And Oilers are going to win Game 5. I guarantee it. Good night.